Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel. I am Josh, and we're covering Etheria Restart today. We're doing the official launch patch notes for Etheria Restart. I did scroll down here, full disclosure, a little bit already. We're going to be covering new animuses being added to the permanent summoning pool. I didn't actually look at that yet, but there also is some buffs and nerfs and some new content already being added to the game. So I have some high hopes for this game. We'll see where it goes. And as soon as it drops the ball, I'm ready to just absolutely dunk on this title. But if it does good, then I'm gonna give it praise. Oh, and before we get into this, I did want to mention I am gonna be releasing an Etheria Restart launch tier list video covering like the best characters. I'll try to keep it as in-depth as possible so you can really grasp why I think certain characters are ranked certain ways when we make that video. And that should be out like tonight or tomorrow morning. But I'm gonna try to keep it under 40 minutes, maybe 60 minutes. I know that sounds like a lot, but there's like almost 30 characters in this game at SR and SSR above. So I want to do my due diligence and give you guys explanations as to why those characters are so strong or when we go over them. So let's get into this here though. All right, official launch is going to be on the 5th, and this is going to be the new animuses that are going to be added to the permanent summoning pool, which is cool. It's not going to be like a sneak peek. Oh, here's some guys coming out, a couple banners down the road. You're going to have to save up stuff and they'll be on the time limited banner. These will be in the permanent summoning pool, and it doesn't say if they'll be in the selector banner or not, but we'll have to see when that is, when it's released. So this is going to be the new SSR animus, all right? And this is going to be someone focused on freezing and stealing turn mechanics. So I know there's buffs and nerfs in here, and if this is going to be a freeze unit SSR that also can turn steal, I would expect to see a Kraken nerf in these patch notes. Her full kit, well, I guess we'll get to look at her later. Doesn't say, I guess on launch, she's coming out. This update, sure. There's also going to be an S. I like this kit, though. Got some little floaty boys. Okay. Not her kit, like the abilities she used, but like her outfit and stuff. All right, cool, good little friends. This is going to be a Makoto here as well. Supporter, defensive supporter animus. Dispel as her spear, so maybe she can just dispel buffs, which would be kind of crazy. And counterattacks as her shield. So we'll have to see what her kit does. Hopefully she has some sort of damage absorption thing as an SR unit, so it's not entirely reliant on you having access to Tiamat if you want to sort of have that sort of tank down capabilities right away. But we'll have to see exactly what she does when she's fully launched. I'm assuming on the 5th when the game launches here. Now we have the new event gameplay here, the United Front. Now this is something I was like, this is missing from the beta, which is a guild war. So this is rally union members to become the strongest union in the United Front. This is like a guild war thing. If you played Epic 7, you're gonna get into your unions, and then there'll be, you know, once you reach Union 6, you'll be able to do United Front. Starting approximately 2 weeks after Etheria Restart's official launch, with one event per week thereafter. Match unions will compete by launching simulated attacks on each other's defenses to earn cooperative battle points. Sure. All right, wins and losses, sure. Does it say what we get for winning, though? As you can see, it's kind of got like some normal Guild War stuff. Shell story. It doesn't go into too in-depth here about what the rewards are. And it also says simulated attacks. I hope that means that it's not auto battle. I hope it's actual like Guild War PvP. We'll have to see though. We'll have to see what that means when it comes out. Shell story, assemble shells to explore Shell Paradise. This is some, this looks like a mini game. All right, I'm not too in depth with this. Revelation Wish Orbs, get some cool stuff. Wish, I don't know, Prismatic Wish Machine. Listen, this is cool that you're putting it in here, but like there's stuff coming. This is like, whatever, man. All right. Like, okay, dude, get some stuff. Cool. Get some Chaku Ring outfits, hidden grand prizes, Prismatic Wish Machines. Is this going to be an event, or is this something you got to pay for? I'm not sure. Core gameplay expansion. Anti-sync echoes now include exclusive Linglu story content. Neat. Hard mode challenges. New system features and key adjustments. Okay, this is in red. Adjusted the guaranteed SSR Animus pull count for limited summons from 100 to 80. We talked about that in a previous video, which was pretty big. Pull history, you can see added Hydra vouchers, a purchasable item, allowing players to buy sufficient vouchers at once for continuous in-game bundles. Cool, you can buy more stuff. I really don't care. Added region protection for matching players only within the same region for the first 15 days. Why is this a thing? So for the first 15 days in Summon Arena, you're only to match the same region, and then after that, you're not anymore. I guess. Maybe they think that it's going to make it like a more playable experience, so you don't just like get dunked on by people who might have a couple hours, I don't know, of playtime ahead of you because the time zone changes and you're asleep when the game comes out. I don't know. Added band protection mechanism for Summon Arena. That's nice. A Diamond 1 rank and above. So I like band protection or some sort of like double band, triple band, whatever, alternating band or mid band system in an RTA. I don't like it when games change it halfway through your ranking, right? You'll like get up to Diamond 1 and then you have to learn to play RTA in a brand new way because strategy, like with band protection, it's crazy. We played Epic 7. How significantly it changes your strategy that you're learning to do as you go in, right? Think about that. You don't have it for a while, you get to Diamond 1 and all of a sudden like there's a band protection. You've been banning that character to help your game plan and all of a sudden you can't anymore because you hit Diamond 1. So it's going to be like this big stumbling block. I kind of wish it wasn't limited to Diamond 1 and above so people could learn how to play with band protection on their way up. Also helps you like pick your strongest character in the band protected slot. So I'm not sure, but it's there. I like that it exists, I guess. For right now, we'll see. Hopefully it won't just be Diamond 1 and above for forever. Attribute bonuses, cool. Exit settlement, nice. Language selection, a bunch of other stuff. Hey, if you're a French keyboard user, there you go. Right there in the patch notes for you. Appearance and outfit adjustments. None of this stuff we really care about. Just adjusted the pricing of select skins and wardrobes. Interesting. I really hope they don't go crazy overly monetizing everything in this game. If they're going to have all these outfits and stuff, which is super cool, then choose that as your monetization system and not monetize every facet of the game. I hope this game does not just go down in the drain right away. All right, combat balance adjustments. In this official version launch update, we've adjusted the skill mechanics and prowess coefficients of select animuses to balance their performance in PvP and PvE. Okay, combat-related adjustments. Ooh, this is a big one. Animus units ascended to 5 stars and 6 stars, you'll gain 5 points to their base speed. So, whatever their starting base speed is, if you go up to 5 and 6, you will get 5 and then another 5, so 10 total, which is kind of crazy. I think that's pretty nice. Some other minus things, Animus-specific adjustments. All right, here's the buffs and the nerfs, boys and girls. Chloros. Looks like red is a buff because it has 400 to 480. Green usually means good, just for future stuff out there. Whoever's making these balance patch notes, green is good, red is bad. Red usually means nerf, but I don't know why red is buff. All right, damage to a single enemy applies doom toll, so just increase the damage for 80%. That's nice. It's like a 20. Almost like an 18% damage increase or whatever, somewhere around there, off of this skill. That's nice. Veronica has a 100% base chance to spread all of her buffs to all allies, which is nice after you steal them. And then calculated individually for each buff is no longer in there. See, this is why it's dumb, this red thing. Red is a buff, 50 to 100, but then red also is we took it out of the skill. Nice. That's not confusing at all. I guess that's why I'm here. All right, the Spirit Water Mia Cascade School cooldown reduced by 1 turn. See, from 5 to 4, so -1 there. That's pretty nice there. Helps you cycle around and use your S2 again. Sunny Sky, 5% increase healing off for max HP, 30% instead of 25. Ziada, all right, everything's the same, and then you do 10% more damage. I don't know who crunched those numbers, but like, yes, we need 10% more. You mathed it out. All right, Abyssal Nightmare Tiamat. Now remember, green here is bad, right? 30% to 10. So upon reaching 8 stacks of Bloodbath, you enter Ultimate Form, and instead of recovering 30% of your max health, you'll recover 10%, and then gain an extra turn. And then before we touch on that, each stack of Bloodbath increases your healing. Used to be by 4%, now it's going to be by 3% up to a maximum of 20 stacks. So that's 1% per stack. So if you were at max stacks before, I mean, you had 80% increase healing. Now you only have 60%. This one, is it a nerf? Yeah. It's not the craziest nerf ever. 60% increased healing is still a lot. This one here, the ultimate form, recovering only 10% of your max health instead of 30%, is a pretty significant nerf. I don't think it makes the character bad. She's still one of the only characters that can do everything that she does with drawing damage into her, giving your team barriers, giving your team a shield, provoking the enemy teams, getting ultimate form and doing a bunch of damage all at the same time, all in one unit. It just might make her just a little bit easier to deal with in PvP, right? Because it takes a decent amount of time to get to ultimate form in PvP scenarios in some circumstances. And maybe, you know, this will prevent your opponent from getting to ultimate form right before you take out Tiamat and getting that 30% health and just living that little bit extra longer before you can actually kill her. And this will allow you to just kind of like nuke her down, nuke the team down. She gets ultimate form, and then the healing's not just enough to carry the whole fight if she's on something like counter set or something. So pretty significant nerf. I don't think it's going to make her bad though. I don't know if undeserved is a nerf or not. It's so small though. I'm surprised it went from 30 to 10. Like on 30 to 20 or 30 to 15 be crazy. This is a pretty big nerf. This is the biggest nerf that we've seen so far. Rahu getting a 30% damage mod on his S1. That's nice. Each stack increases his defense by 5 instead of 4, which is pretty nice, and it stacks up to 12 times. So it's going to be an extra 12% defense. And then Wraithful Form, 8 stacks for every 4% defense higher than the target. His basic damage output increased by 1% up to a maximum of 40%, which is nice. So this is gonna be a double buff for him, because not only is he gonna get more defense from the passive effect of Wrathful Form, 5% now per stack, but on top of it going up to 5% per stack, which would be what, 60% defense increase, undispellable. You get a 60% defense increase, and then you will get a maximum of 40% damage increase for every 4% defense higher than the target. So it allows you to hit this breakpoint of for every 4% defense higher than your target, because you get a larger defense bonus. But then on top of that, not only is it easier to hit that number, it's going to make you do more damage too. So pretty cool, all on his S3 Wrathful Form passive. Very nice. Very nice. Is this going to make him the best character in the game? I don't know. Probably just makes him do more damage, be a tankier guy. Lingleo, so this is going to be the free character. S1 change has a 75% chance now to cast Purify and Purify 1 debuff. And if they have no debuffs, has a 75% chance to apply her Whale Prayer buff for 2 turns, which is her heal over time. So this is going to be a free character. She was already incredibly powerful for both PvE as well as PvP with Lingleo here. And she's going to get even better. So this is kind of crazy. I guess. I mean, 75%, hey, we'll take it. This is going to be Rosa. Insane Crash is her S1. And she is going to get a turn metered increase push. It's going to be a nerf from 10% to 8%. Okay. Sure. Like I said, like one of the changes before. I don't know who's crunching them numbers out there who said it needed to be 2% less. I guess. Born. Now, Born is a character who I think is crazy. He got buffed 2 times. Wow. Okay. Born's really good. At the start of the battle, increase the HP cap equal to 560% of his attack now instead of 500. That's a big buff. And then each attack adds damage equal to 30% of his max health. So he's going to get a HP increase equal to 560 of his attack now. And then the second part of his passive, which is unchanged, allows you to deal extra damage equivalent to 30% of your max health. So you build them for health, you build them for attack, you get even more health off of that, and then you do more damage based off your HP as well. So very strong character in a lot of circumstances. Starcaller S3, when more than 4 units are alive, he does 480% AoE instead of 440. Sure, and then a chance to dispel 1 buff from each target. For each enemy unit defeated, deals an additional instance of 100% damage. This strip dispelling buffs is very powerful, very strong. Part of the reason why I like him so much, especially in PvP circumstances, getting rid of buffs is very good. Lilith here is getting changed. This is going to be the bomb unit. It's not called bomb in this game. It's got our own name, debuff. But what they're doing here is they're increasing the damage she does slightly from 20% of her max HP to 24%. Fine. The big majority of her kit comes from her debuffs and her bombs and the speed down to all targets and, you know, pushing their turn meter back by 100%. I don't know why this needed to be a thing, but hey, you do a little bit more damage. Maybe you push through some targets, and this allows you to get a KO on somebody in PvP circumstances you couldn't before. Oh no. Oh no. Uh-oh, we got the red. Okay. All right, Kloss. Kloss was kind of secret strong. So hacking progress no longer has permanent speed down stacks, and hack in no longer has a 20% speed down. However, okay, this isn't that bad. However, the S3 now does just do the speed down debuff. This is like a buff in a nerf, because it's a buff in the circumstance where you didn't have someone else in your party to apply speed down. It looks like Kloss can do that for you now, actually do the speed down debuff. It's a nerf in the sense that if you had someone else in your party before that could do speed down as an actual debuff, Kloss could do a second speed down effect with her hacking progress. Which, I mean, take it for what you will. She'll be better as a speed down debuffer right out of the gate, worse in these longer term fights or in circumstances where you wanted to stack her speed down effect with someone else's actual speed down debuff. So we'll have to see how this plays out for Kloss there. I'm not entirely sure about that one. I'll probably have to take her off the tier list until the game comes out to factor in all of this stuff. I'm not sure. Freya, each time an enemy is inflicted with a debuff, there's a 70% chance to push back its turn meter by 4%, triggering up to 3 times per enemy. 70, well, it doesn't say what it was before. Oh! I think it always happened before, or something. Because I remember this saying, this is Freya, this is going to be the first time limited character. It was something like, ignored all resistances, effects, or whatever. It just always happened. So now it's going to be a 70% base chance to push back turn meter by 4%, which means that you're going to want to put some effectiveness on Freya. It's going to be a little interesting. Yeah, before you didn't have to put any effectiveness on Freya. She would just always do it. Now it's 70% base chance, and then it can get affected by enemy effect resistance. So that's a pretty significant nerf. We have Turnadot. This is going to be the SR, I do believe. Whirling Blades. Each attack has a 30% chance to push the target back by 25% instead of 30%. I don't know if that character needed to get nerfed, but okay. And then a 40% base chance to dispel a buff from the target. I don't know. Why are we nerfing some weird characters like this? Here's Chiaki, the Illusionist Reality. Deals 242 damage and then heals 2 allies 12%, 15% now of her max HP. And applies a stack of Origami Guardian. Heal goes from 40% on 50% from her S2. S3 goes from 24% to 30% on her S3. So she just got stronger healing. Fine, I guess. I'm sure Illusionist Reality, Chiaki. Okay, but there's better healers than I don't really care about this. Dina, turn steal, is reduced by 25 to 15. So they're really kind of reeling in this turn steal, and then they're releasing an SSR that does freeze and turn steal. But yeah, she does hers 25%. Blade Torrent here on Dina. Yep, increases the target's attacking turn meter by 6% instead of 10. So her turn meter, combat readiness is what I like to call an E7, manipulation is significantly worse. 10% off here on stealing and then 4% off here. Kraken here, oh, it's not bad. He goes from a base 75% chance to 65% chance to push it back on his S3. And then he goes from a base 60% chance to a base 50% chance to apply the freeze. So they're just going to make it, he's the same character, they just want you to, they want you to stack more effectiveness on him to increase these proc rates. And then if you're, fighting someone who has ER, it's just going to be a little bit harder for you to land those Kraken debuffs on someone with effect resistance. And then the other thing that it does do is when the game's launched, And no one really has any effectiveness on their gear. No one really has any effect resistance. You guys are doing the arena. You guys are doing whatever it is. It's just going to make them much more RNG. When we're talking like week 1 or whatever, it's, 65% chance is a pretty significant thing. When you're bringing a character in to push someone back and or freeze them, do you really want to have a straight 50-50 shot? Like, the odds aren't even in your favor. You're just flipping a coin at that point. So, not a crazy nerf, but he's there. We have Virtuous Maid Insania. Okay. Oh, did we get nerfed? No, they nerfed one of my favorite healers. All right, at the end of the turn, if Sonya is in an incapacitated state, she heals 2 allies with the lowest health and purifies 1 debuff, with healing equal to 16 to 14% of her max health instead of 16 now. And then for every 1% health she loses, it's increased by 0.6% instead of 0.8%. So, okay. And then Forest Heart fixed an issue where she could still trigger passive healing while under stun, freeze, petrify, and slumber. This is big. Also, it says if she is in an incapacitated state. So one of the best things about Sonya before was you could just always heal when it got to your turn. Didn't matter if you were debuffed, didn't matter if you were frozen, didn't matter if you were stunned, didn't matter if you were just incapacitated. You would still proc the passive heal and heal 2 people. Now, if I'm reading this correctly, not only is her healing worse, but you can no longer trigger your passive healing if you're stunned, frozen, petrified, or sleeped. But also it says at the end of the turn, if she's incapacitated, she does it anyways. So we'll figure that one out. All right, we'll figure that one out. And she cleanses. Interesting, weird. But hopefully this is just like a small healing thing, and she actually does heal while debuffed with these debuffs still. Uh-oh, Marvel, everyone's favorite. 50% chance to 40% chance on his turn steal, and it goes from 25 to 15. This is pretty big. This is one of the reasons Marvel was so strong, was just spamming turn steal on the S1 over and over and over again. This one also on the S3 also got nerfed. It looks like the 6% chance to push back the target's turn meter. It's a 40% turn meter pushback instead of a 50. That's, a pretty significant. Oh, wow. And the cooldown got changed from 4 turns to 5 turns. So Marvel is basically the same character, slightly worse at turn stealing with S1, slightly worse at pushing back with S3, and everything that he does with the speed down, the resistance down for 2 turns, everything that he does as an opener is still there. It's slightly worse. This doesn't make him bad. This is probably still going to allow your entire team to go before the enemy team with this combination of speed down and turn meter down. But after he pops off with that S3 and that S2, he really doesn't have that much to do. You can try to steal 15% turn meter now instead of 25 and quickly cycle back into another S3 and finish the game off that way. So still going to be a good character. Still going to be someone you're going to run into in the arena and, be like, why is this guy here? What's going on? But he's significantly worse than he was before in longer games. So we'll keep that going on there. Victor got nerfed. For every 10% HP loss, his damage dealt is 9% instead of 15, and damage taken reduced by 6%. Sure, and then his S3 fixed an issue where it could stack multiple shields. No one used you before, no one's using you now. Dorothy, sure, Researcher 4. They nerfed this SR. Push it, it's not even an SR, it's just like a 3-star. They nerfed this character, Researcher 41, one of the only characters that had like something kind of cool to do. The turn meter increase for the whole team used to be 35%, now it's 25%, and it applies attack buff. That shit is crazy. I don't think you need to be nerfing that. This is basically, if you played Epic 7 back in the day, what is it? This is Judith. This is the Judith Silver Fan, or Silver Rain Judith. They nerfed it already. No Silver Rain Judith for us. Okay. Shell specific adjustments. So this is going to be some of the shells, the equipment that you can farm up in the game. White Fang. This is the follow-up one. This was a very strong one. 2 instances of 110% damage now instead of 140. And then if a crit occurs, the rest of it's the same. So it just reduces the multiplier on this, which is fine. You know, you still get the crit damage buff. You still get all this other stuff. The multiplier on it's just a little bit lower. Nothing crazy. Artisan. This is the one that gives you the defense buff and applies a shield. So they lowered this one. This was one of the best ones too. It's very good on like Sukomi, I think, because Sukomi does damage based off of her defense. So it'd give her a giant defense buff and then get a giant shield on top of that. And then because you scale off defense for your damage, it gave you a ton of damage too. So this is just going to be still a giant defense buff. The shield's going to be slightly less. That's fine though. Codex of Magic and Amber Halloween. You didn't tell me what the incorrect actual trigger probability was, but all right. Codex and Amber can't have their cooldowns reduced now, whatever. Twilight Knight before the main body X, small damage bonus again being reduced, 200 to 160. And then Diamond Heart. This was the other, this is very similar to Artisan if I remember correctly. For the main body X, increase your defense by 550 for 2 turns, and then play, oh yeah, so it's the lower level. It's a lower level one. So they just nerfed both of them. Okay, sure, fine. System related optimizations, some stuff. Fix some issues. I'm not seeing any major ones. Thank you from the Etheria team. So we'll have to see what's going on with the official launch on the 5th. Make sure if you want to see more content like this, there's no way for me to know. There's no way for the YouTube algorithm overlord gods to know if you want to see more stuff like this on this channel without you leaving a comment down there and saying something, hitting the like or whatever, or thumbs it down. I don't care, but I'll see you maybe on the restart and we'll see if this game's great or we're going to see if this game's an absolute pile of garbage. I don't know.